All right, so this presentation is going to be geared toward mostly the medical community, like dietitians, nurses, doctors, something you can add to your current practice to be able to introduce to your clients for another form of taking care of their health, and just giving them a different aspect of a way to integrate with Western medicine. So, this presentation is the basics of Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is the science of life. So, what is Ayurveda? We're going to be discussing the definition and the explanation of Ayurveda. What are the three doshas? How do we create balance in the three doshas? And Ayurvedic perspective on diet and digestion. All right. So, are you is life or lifespan. Veda is total knowledge, and Ayurveda altogether is the science of life. So here is a quote from one of the um, uh, texts that Ayurveda comes from. So, one whose dosha are balanced, whose digestive fire, which is called Agni in Ayurveda, is balanced, whose bodily tissues, the dhatus is what tissues are balanced, and elimination process are functioning normally, whose sense, Indra, and mind, Manas, and self, Atma, are filled with bliss, such as a person is considered healthy. And this is the Shashutra Samhita, and comes from 15.38, and that's one of the texts that it comes from. So that is a definition, explanation of Ayurveda. So what are the three doshas? The three doshas are the inner intelligence of the body that govern all biological and most of the psychological processes like organs, tissues, all the way through the functioning cells, genes, and DNA. They are how Ayurveda defines and understands incredibly sophisticated inner intelligences of the mind-body system. Panchamana bhutas are the five great elements. So you always hear movies, TV, whatever, in different cultures about these, but Ayurveda actually puts them to how our constitutions are. So the doshas are governed by the building blocks of creation according to Ayurveda. So Vata governs both air and ether. Pitta is fire and water, and Kapha is also water but earth. And all of these exist in our body. So the three functions of Vata. So we have transportation, movement, and communication. So transportation, it's to do with all the different systems in our body, how they flow in balance. The transportation can also be imbalanced. So this means this is why communication and movement are also lumped into it. So this is the blood in the body, how the waste products in the body, how digestion is, even communications of how the brain makes everything work. This is what this dosha takes care of. So it's very important that it stays in balance when it comes to Vata, because Vata is however you want to see it, is the king or queen dosha of each of our systems. So it's what helps everything flow in harmony. So the qualities, which we're going to go over, or gunas, as it's mentioned in Ayurveda, for Vata are dry, light, cold, dry, rough, quick, moving, and subtle. So these, what I'll show you lately, and with each dosha, is how you can feel this in the pulse, and we'll have an exercise that goes with that. So where Vata is located in the body, we have the colon, the bladder and the kidney, the anus, the rectum, waist, legs, feet, and bones. This is where you're going to find this dosha predominantly. Now we have the three functions of pitta. It governs digestion, metabolism, and transformation. So digestion doesn't mean just what food goes into your body. It means actual knowledge also. And that's why metabolism and transformation go with this also. It's just like vata. So it's just not having to do with what food is put into your body. It also has to do with thoughts and how everything's balanced out. So you kind of take it to another level in understanding of how this dosha works. So the qualities or gunas that you'll find of pitta are slightly oily, light, hot, sharp, flowing, liquid, and pungent. And like I said, we're going to have an exercise later to kind of better explain these and how you can feel it in the pulse. The location of pitta is in the body, is small intestine, sweat, plasma, lymph, and blood. So this is where pitta is very, very important, because if these things are not working in balance with vata, all of these can have their own issues like blockages and stuff like that, and it can really end up messing up that digestion process, that transformation, the metabolism. So here's our next constitution. So the three functions of kapha are structure, cohesion, and lubrication. And how this is important. So structure, our bone structure, how that is. Cohesion is like how everything kind of sticks together in our body. So, and lubrication is also important. If you have too much kapha, the joints become loose, skin becomes loose. If there's just too much of that going on, your structure's not going to be very as durable as it could be. So here we go. The qualities of kapha. We have oily, heavy, cold, wet, slow, stable, sticky, dull, and sweet. All right, the locations of kapha in the body are the chest, head, neck, joints, stomach, and adipose tissue. So, how do we create balance in the three doshas? And this is what I was talking about earlier, by pulse reading, daily routine, diet, and digestion. And we can also, lifestyle goes in with this also, but lifestyle includes all of these processes right here. I have included how the different constitutions work on a time basis. And this is how it's actually got a schedule of what you should be doing at each of these times to keep your rhythm and daily routine, and follow the circadian rhythms that nature has for us, just how the body works. So self-pulse reading, naughty vegan, I apologize about that. So the naughty subtle channels of the body, that's what that is. Vijnana is knowledge, and the reason for self-pulse reading is to detect imbalances in the body at early stages. When you detect the cause of the imbalance and maintain it, you can maintain the individual's health and restore balance by enlivening the body's inner intelligence, which is those doshas. The characteristics of a balanced pulse are clearly expressed, non-mixed, pure on its own, stable in its own place, and without excitement and without dullness, vital. So with pulse reading, as you see, vata is like a snake, so that will be your first finger. Pitta is like a frog, so that is your middle finger. And kapha is like a swan, so it's going to be smooth and quiet. And each of these fingers pick up each of these doshas. Um, and with that being said, I'm going to have an exercise for us after the presentation where we have certain types of material so you can feel them and understand what those gunas or qualities in each one mean that we went over earlier for each of the constitutions. So that way, when you do a pulse reading, you can understand how each one is supposed to feel. The When we go over the pulse, we're going to go over just the most basic part of it, which is just the basic pulse reading. We have different levels of the pulse reading, but we'll go over those in time if you decide to come back for more information. So you have just the surface level pulse, you have the deep pulse, and you have the subdoshas. So those are the different levels to tell, and they each have their own way of telling the different tissues in the body, the different systems in the body. But the most basic that we're going to go over is just the surface level, and use that exercise of how to feel the different qualities by using the different materials, feeling them with your fingers. So when you get to self-reading, we get to how it's done, you understand how each of them feel, and you can pick them up in the tips of your fingers. All right, so self-pulse reading continued. After learning the location, or to locate feeling the pulse with innocence, and you don't expect anything when you read the pulse. So that's what I mean with innocence. You're not expecting anything out of it. You just let it come to you when it's supposed to. So yeah, never looking for anything, because you receive more knowledge that way. After learning to locate the surface pulse, move to locating the deep pulse, which we'll move to, that tells you about the physiology. Women take the reading on the left wrist, and men take the reading on the right wrist. The pulse is able to be taken before and after a significant event, so like meals, exercise, before you go to bed, before you take a shower. I mean, you could take it as many times a day as you need to, and usually before and after those events are the most important, because you'll feel whether there's an imbalance or dullness, or it's not clear, like there's a covering to it. So the three main states of the doshas are balanced, increased, or decreased. That's what you'll feel. Or you can actually feel those qualities moving into the other doshas, which means imbalance. So a balanced pulse feels good, pleasant, blissful, and imbalanced pulse is lacking bliss. So here is a presentation that I'm going to show you of how to take the pulse. So here's a video we're going to watch. Oh, give me just a moment, I'll play this. All right, I'm going to show you how to locate the pulse. First thing is when you are reading the pulse, you need to make sure you're sitting comfortably, your legs are uncrossed, have a pillow to rest your arm on, because you don't want the arm bent up to cut off the pressure of reading the pulse. Also, on reading the pulse, you need to make sure you feel it innocently. You don't expect anything from it. When you don't expect anything, then the knowledge just comes to you. So don't try to just feel for something. Just let it innocently come to you, and what you feel is what you feel. So on men, we read it with the right hand, or their pulse, and we use our dominant hand when we're reading the pulse with any individual. And on women, we do the left hand. So when we are doing this, we make sure they're comfortable, we're comfortable, because if we're not comfortable, we're going to be reflecting that to them, and we won't get a proper reading at all. So we need to make sure we are also in a place where we won't be reflecting what we're going through, or we have ourselves in balance also, so we can help that individual. So what we're going to do, the hand, we locate the root of the thumb, you move down, find the bony prominence, which is about right in here, right there, and you move down a 1/2 centimeter. So on me, I'm going to take it right here, find that bony prominence, and use the tip of your finger. You might have to cut your fingernails. The tip of your finger, because that's where you get the feeling. You gotta roll it in till you start to feel something. You're gonna rest your hand down, and then you're gonna place your middle finger by it, right beside it, and your ring finger right beside that. You're gonna gently lower down, relax, make sure your legs are uncrossed, and just feel the pulse at the moment. Just take a few breaths, make sure the fingers are even, and the tips of your fingers are what's reading the pulse. You can close your eyes if you want, just to make sure there's no outside sensory messing with what your reading's supposed to be, and that you're not expecting anything. Once you've taken a few breaths, and just read the pulse, see what you feel. And then we can move on to the deep pulse once you fill up the surface pulse. So with the deep pulse, you're gonna also make sure you press the fingers down evenly all at the same time to cut off the pulse. And then you're going to gently release back up so you feel the flow of the pulse going again. Take a few breaths and then read the pulse. With the deep pulse, it gives you a deeper reading of the entire physiology. So that's pretty much what it's going to do. So each finger, unless Vata is in your first finger, Pitta is in your middle finger, and Kapha is in your ring finger. So that's where we're going to get our readings from. And just have fun with it. Thank you. All right, so we went over how to go over the pulse. I did a demonstration, and like I said, later we'll have materials to kind of feel those different qualities, and an activity we'll do after the presentation. So the expressions of Vata balance state: enthusiasm, expiration, inhalation, movement, balance, development of the dhatus, which is those tissues, and balance, release of the malas, which are the waste products. And a fun thing about the malas, you think you want all waste products to be gone. Actually, they have to be balanced out. There has to be a certain amount, like of sweat and everything in your body. That's one of the malas. So everything has to be in balance. We don't want too much. We don't want too little. We just want them just right. Sounds like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears kind of. All right, so Vata out of balance can be insecure, nervous, worries too much, fear of loneliness, darkness, heights, and closed spaces. It also, you'll see that it's irregular also. So Vata can be very irregular, whether that be in your limbs, whether that be in anything in your constitution. So that's one of those things that you have to watch out for. Expressions of Pitta balance state is sight, good vision, digestion, metabolism, heat, normal temperature, thirst, hunger, softness in the body, luster, cheerfulness, and intellect. Pitta out of balance, mood swings, irritability, jealousy, anger, frustration, extremely judgmental in attitude, crave spicy foods, which aggravate Pitta, interrupted sleep, workaholic tendencies. And Pitta, like your digestion can burn too fast, the skin will be hot. So that's Pitta out of balance when like the heat is too extreme, because fire is part of Pitta. Expressions of kapha balanced state: unctuousness, binding, firmness, heaviness, potency, strength, forbearance, restraint and patience, and absence of greed. Kapha out of balance is obesity, greed, attachment, envy, possessiveness, extreme laziness, lust, craving to sweet, oily, or too much salty foods. All right, so here's where we're going to go over daily routine, and we showed you that clock either, what's best to do for you. So this is what the Ayurvedic clock is. So 6 to 10 a.m. is kapha time, so the best time for your morning routine. And it's better to wake up right at 6 or before 6 o'clock. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is pitta time. This is the best time for work when your brain's functionally right, time to eat your largest meal of the day, and your highest protein. 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. is vata time. So this is the time you want to have your last big meal, so that way digestion is finished before you have to start settling down for the day and winding down to your evening routine, which is kapha time, 6 to 10 p.m. So kapha time's back. So you start winding down, you're getting ready for bed, try to go to bed before 10. It's a great time to do Garshana and Apyanga. Dry brushing is mostly for kapha-based people, because you've already got dryness with vata, so you don't want to increase the dryness, causing imbalance. But you do want to do the Apyanga. With pitta, it can actually cause more heat, so you don't really want to do dry brushing with that. So kapha would be the one you do the dry brushing with. Also with Apyanga, you don't want to do that too often for kapha, because there's already oiliness there. With pitta, you're going to do it a little bit more than what kapha would be, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, because there's oiliness in that also. With vata, because dryness is present, you want to do that every day, at least 5 to 7 times a week, to avoid having dryness. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is pitta. So this is the worst time to wake up, because your brain wants to start working again. So this is when you're going to benefit most from the sleep. So you try to make sure you're asleep at this time, before 10 o'clock or by 10. And you want to try to stay asleep until right before 6 o'clock, because if you wake up and you're not keeping a routine, if you wake up at 2 a.m., vata takes over. So that transportation, movement, and everything starts to wake you up. So you want to make sure you're getting proper sleep. Diet and digestion. So diet and digestion, each dosha has its own tastes. So the 6 tastes are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. You've got Agni, Aharas, Dhatus, Ojas, and Arjun, and Alma. All right, and we are getting towards consciousness. Consciousness is also a part of Ayurveda. So you've got Ayurveda consists of diet and digestion, daily routine, lifestyle, and consciousness. So with pure ojas, so that's like this substance in your body when everything's imbalanced, that flows, you can feel it in the pulse, is reflected in digestion. It in turn reflects on our life. This wholeness of consciousness expresses as ojas and soma, unification of consciousness, creates a freedom from imbalance with great waves of bliss and health. So it's so important to maintain those areas that Ayurveda concentrates on, so that way all you have is that those ojas and soma governing everything and creating that bliss and health. All right, that is the conclusion of my presentation. I am going to have other presentations um, that break everything up because Ayurveda is 5,000 years old and there is a lot to cover. So everything has to be broken up to have a better understanding of it and to have those building blocks. So if you're interested, please sign up for the courses and I will be happy to see you. And if there are any questions afterwards, please feel free to come up to me now or later by email, or we can set up a meeting. Thank you so much for your time, and everybody have a lovely rest of your day. And if anybody's interested, here are the references that I got from, even the pictures where I got them from, the artwork. Just if you're interested and want to learn a little bit more before my next presentation. Thank you very much.